Stugotz. She's going to be defending her title at WrestleMania 39, April 1st and 2nd in Los Angeles. It is crazy to see how giant wrestling has gotten. Her father is one of the reasons it has gotten this kind of large.
He's the reason.
WWE SmackDown every Friday night on Fox. Thank you, Stugotz. Yes, he's one of the reasons.
Great kiss-ass move.
Great kiss-ass move. He's the only reason
Just
wrestling
Rick,
has been successful. But Charlotte, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I think he'd tell you he's the reason.
Thank you. Thank you. I know my friend Ric Flair.
I don't imagine that you had any other choice but to be a wrestler, and yet from the time that you were young, my guess is there weren't many avenues to think that you could be a wrestler.
No, I actually never thought about it, and I wasn't really a fan growing up. I got into it because of my little brother. I wanted to help him kind of get on the right path. He passed away almost 10 years ago from a drug overdose, but he's the one that kind of set me on this course, not my dad. Well, just I wasn't really into the divas back then, and I was just a fan of my dad. So, I mean, I know that sounds crazy. Maybe it's because I didn't really think about it or have dreams, that I didn't know what to expect when I started.
When did you realize it was for you, or a possibility or a career, if you weren't thinking about it as a child, even as you saw it around you?
The Four Horsemen Hall of Fame induction in 2012 was in Miami. And they were trying to hire my brother at the time. And the producer who was with us at dinner was like, "Why aren't you doing this?" And I was like, "Oh, I never really thought about it." And my brother was like, "You could do it. You could do it with me. We could move to Tampa, start with FCW, which is now NXT at the time." And I was like, "Well, I'm not doing much of my life, just personal training." And 3 months later, I reported to FCW thinking I was going to meet my brother in Tampa, and the rest is history. It's crazy. No, like really, it just happened over dinner at the hotel.
And just like that, you'd never considered it before that, and it was just a way to get closer to your brother?
No, I never considered it. I mean, it's hard when your dad's Ric Flair, and I wasn't really into wrestling growing up. So no, it was really just to be with my brother, and then I fell in love with it when I started.
Did you hate wrestling because it was always taking him away as well? Like, I imagine he wasn't around very much because the schedule was so crazy and grueling.
No, my dad made a great effort to be at anything he could be when he was home. Like, it was much later in his career when my brother and I were born versus my older brother and sister. No, there was no resentment. I wasn't into it. To be honest, I just wasn't my thing.
You were busy dominating volleyball, right? I mean, everyone knows that.
But like my brothers were into it. Like my little brother Reed wanted to be literally the next Ric Flair. I just was like, "Oh my gosh, that's my dad. Hey guys, let's go. Like my dad's wrestling tonight." I would take like the volleyball team, like more to like show off that my dad's Ric Flair, not necessarily like I want to do this.
Were you good at it from the moment that you started 3 months after dinner, or were you bad at it?
Athletically, yes. The showmanship and a character and charisma, absolutely terrible. Like that took a while. Like I still think that's what I think about all the time. Like, what can I get better at? Obviously, promos I find to be the most challenging. Character work, like that did not come natural to me at all. Well, because it's also like I'm Ric Flair's daughter. How do you acknowledge that, but it also not overshadow you? And it's 10 years of having a chip on my shoulder, you know?
Did Rick make fun of you for being so bad at it at the beginning?
Oh, he was so proud.
I know.
No, have you heard my dad? It's so I could do no wrong.
He is so ridiculously
like
proud.
fan.
It's crazy. He just breaks down weeping when he talks about you for 10 seconds.
I'm fully aware. I know, it's terrible.
Oh, it's awesome.
No, I mean, like, what I will say is, when I first started, obviously the women weren't looked at in the same light as they are now. So he didn't really know what to expect. So like the first 2 years, not until he realized like, oh, wow, like women's wrestling is much different than when he was active, and the landscape was changing. And obviously like, yeah, it's just different.
And I think what symbolized that most for me was your entrance in WrestleMania in 2019 in New York when you flew in a helicopter. Was there like a moment where you realized, like, not only is the women's division getting a level of respect, but this is badass. This is really cool, and it's completely changing the way that this sport is being viewed. And you had a part to play in it.
Well, it's like I mean, all I could think about was I used to sit front row and watch my dad and have no idea what he meant to the industry. And then here I am main eventing the biggest show of the year, which no one would have, I mean, if you said 5 years or God, 6 years ago, women would never main event WrestleMania, ever. Or Raw, Smack. I mean, women just wouldn't be a primary storyline. Like, no. But to think that I did that and with who my dad is, it's sometimes like I still don't like believe it's happened. It's like, damn, I'm really doing all this.
Did any part of you worry a little bit about your dad last year at 73 deciding, let's have one last match. Let's just do this one more time?
I know, but how can you tell him no?
Well,
like,
that's the thing.
What makes him tick, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think because he was, I mean, I wasn't a fan of it, but you can't tell him no. And if he's going to do it, then you might as well support him 100%.
Well, I mean,
you know?
part of it could be your fault, right? Because you've been so successful and you're racking up championships. And he's like, you know what? I got to keep going.
He's like, you can't break my record.
Exactly right. I can't let Charlotte
I need a new record.
Me. Yeah.
But
And you know what he'll say? He'll be like, actually, the real record is 21. I'm sure he'll, because I won a title in somewhere that wasn't televised. No, he would never do that. He wants me to
Classic Nate.
No, he's like, you're breaking this record. My dad, give me time.
how does it look to you when you go back through the old promos of your father and look back at the prism of how terrible you were at it at the beginning? And he's a natural, and Nate, as Stugotz calls him, and he's one of the best to ever do the wrestling character. I got to imagine that was a bit intimidating to see where you were, to think about it at that dinner. I can't do that, and then unleash a show woman.
Well, I try not to compare what I do on the mic to him because you can't. But I think that's something that motivates me to be better, because that's what so many people tuned in to see with my dad. It's like his trash talking. So how do I trash talk, but in a way that is special to Charlotte's character, whether that's, you know, just being the most arrogant person on the planet, or like, obviously I'm not going to be screaming like Macho Man or like with my voice, you know, it's just, it's different. But knowing that that's how my dad kept so many people captivated for so many years, that I knew I was going to need to be good at that, to make a mark in this industry, to be remembered as one of the greats, just not men or women.
Can you summon it on a moment's whim? Like if someone needs you to promote April 1st and 2nd in Los Angeles, you headlining WrestleMania 39, do you have to go and get into character, summon some Daniel Day-Lewis in order to promote that correctly? Be filled with a fuel of rage? What do you have to go do in order to promote that correctly? Why should people be watching you in the main event?
Why should? Because I am the main event. I am the main event. There wouldn't be a main event without Charlotte Flair. No, so like with my dad, he is Ric Flair inside and outside of the ring, and that's something for me is like when I have the opportunity to do these shows and introduce who I am, it's like, well, do you pretend to be Charlotte Flair? Because it's so different than it was in the 80s. Like my dad lives the gimmick. Like you'll see like I'll sprinkle in the character, but I don't think it translates the same way. Like I might say, yeah, I am the main event. I'm the greatest of all time. Rhea Ripley's going to bow down to me April 1st. Like that's just, yes.
No, but you're right. Your father at some point along the path morphed into the character so that you can no longer tell them apart. That's who he is in public all the time. He's never not Ric Flair.
He's never not Ric Flair. 100%.
Is it, and I ask this respectfully, is it fun to be an asshole? Like, just say, like, you know what?
Oh.
I can
Yes.
really turn it on right
Yes,
now. I
it
can't
is.
act like
Yeah.
this in
It
real
is.
life, but on
Great.
screen, man, I can say some stuff.
Yes, it's fun. Well, yes, it's fun. Well, to me, it's just easier. Like, well, from my experience, like my dad's Ric Flair. I come from a legacy. I'm bigger, faster, stronger. Like, it's just hard to be like me. I'm relatable. Like, it's harder to be nice. Like, how do you?
Well, you have to
How do
turn
you
it
say,
up.
how
I
do
would
you
assume.
say that humbly?
Yeah, like I would assume you have to turn it up and be like, you know what? That wasn't far enough. Let me go further.
No, yeah, that I need to say more.
Are you saying you'd struggle to be a babyface? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, you think?
But when,
that is harder.
but when you came
Oh
back,
no!
you got
Like,
a great reception when you came back. Like, fans like this from you.
so now my mindset is, I'm not a good guy. I'm not a bad guy. I'm the woman. Like, just what would, like, I don't really, I spent so many years trying to get people to boo me. And now with the reception with the fans and them like just being so excited to see me, I just try not to overthink it. Like, I think they want to see me be arrogant now. Like, they want to cheer that.
Did you go through?
They don't want me to be corny. Like, they just want me to be me. And that's what it's more of like a respect thing because of everything that I've done within the industry.
Did you go through a period where you worried that you were too likable? You had to like, shove
No,
a child or something.
I
Like,
never
oh.
went through a
That's not-
period
you
where I
should
thought
push a
I was
kid or
too
something, yeah.
likable. No.
Charlotte, you mentioned that your dad is always your dad. What is the greatest example of the most mundane thing that you did in your life in which your father was dialing it up to 100% Ric Flair?
Pass the salt.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, like, he still woos at the end of our phone calls. Like,
That's such a great sign off. Oh my
That is
god.
how he says I love you.
I don't know. Like, I do remember, like, there was one time my dad was really mad at me and my little brother. We were in the car, and I remember him, like, slamming his hand on the center console. He's like, damn it, I'm Ric Flair. And I'm like, so? What does that mean to me?
It doesn't mean anything to you.
I like the sign
Go
off
to
on the.
time out. Like,
I like the
that's
sign off on the phone. Like, hey, by the way, we ran out of milk. Don't forget to pick some up. Woo!
Oh, yes. Like, I could go through my tweets, or not my tweets, my text messages.
Wait, text it.
Oh, let's
I'm
read
sure
them.
I've got
No,
some
let-
woos.
Can
and
you
bunch
read all of
No,
them?
let's go ahead and read. Let's
Yeah.
read with Charlotte Flair some text messages from Dad. I'd like to read some of those as we promote April 1st and 2nd in Los Angeles, WrestleMania 39. She's defending her title. She's a 14-time Women's World Champion. She's WWE. She's held the WWE Diva Championship. What else is on there? Let's see what we got. What do you have for us?
For April 1st?
No, on your text.
Yeah.
We want it. We want
On
to
the
know.
phone.
Oh, on my
Yeah.
text.
We
So
wanna We want
I'm
to know.
looking at Saturday morning after SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
My dad texts me, I love you, Angel. You rocked last night. You're the GOAT. Emoji, emoji, emoji with a bicep. And then he sends me a picture of the boat he wants. 70 knots is 84 miles per hour. I'll know tomorrow. Fingers crossed.
Classic Nate. I mean,
Did he get it? I mean,
That's him with the boat. I'm like, thanks for letting me know the speed, Dad.
He is crazy, crazy proud of you, though. It seems very much like he is made happier by the things that you're doing by leaps and bounds than anything he did.
I think so. Yeah. He tells me all the time, like, you're my greatest accomplishment. So I just hope I make him proud.
did he buy the boat or did he want you to buy the boat?
So the next text, oh, I'm not buying him the boat. He goes, it didn't pass the inspection with a frown face.
oh, man.
And I just completely disregarded
poor
that.
Nate.
Was there a sad woo that came after that?
No.
What is there a moment, right? Whether it's winning Royal Rumble in 2020, is there any one moment inside or outside of wrestling when you put it at the top of the list of how is this my life? In 2012, I wasn't even thinking about this. How is this here? Why is this here? You can't make up the place that I've just arrived.
Yeah, I think I kind of deal with that now because I'm like, wait, I've done all this. What's next? Like, I wasn't really sure what I was working towards. It was all just continuing my brother's dream, right? So, like, I spent so much time trying to protect him and help him and get him on the right path when, like, really he set me on this course that I could have never imagined. So sometimes when it's all like over at the end of the night, I'm like, well, what am I fighting for now? Like, what's next? Like, I still feel like I have something to prove, but I don't really know what that next big thing is because I never thought I would have accomplished all this. It's just because I worked hard and I happen to be good at it, not like wasn't 16 and was like, I'm gonna be the last Divas champion, or I'm gonna be the first woman to main event WrestleMania, or I'm gonna be the first woman to main event Raw, SmackDown, pay-per-views and WrestleMania. Like all these things just keep happening. I'm just like, why did I get to be so fortunate? And he never got to see me do any of it. I don't know. It's like one of those things, I guess it just keeps me ticking.
Well, when you talk about love, family, and spirituality, can you explain to us what it feels like to you to embody when you're talking about, women's championship, a record 7 times, Raw Women's Championship, SmackDown 7 times, and Raw Women's Championship 6
It
times?
just goes everywhere with me.
Yes. When you're living, you're living the life your brother wanted, and all you were willing at the time. You were going to move just to be with him, to share life with him, to protect him.
Yeah.
You were scared for him. Why were you going to move your life to be next to him?
Well, he had a really bad drug addiction, and I thought that if I somewhat started what he wanted to, that it would get him motivated, almost like jealous in a way. Like, my sister's doing this, I've got to do it too. I've got to be better. I've got to stay on the right course. So when I started, he still didn't pass the test. And then he went off to Japan, started wrestling in Japan, and they brought him home from Japan to see me for the first time at WrestleMania Access, almost a year after I signed. And he passed away that night when they brought him home to see me wrestle for the first time. So like ever since then, I just like think it's going to be that first time he sees me.
You must think of him and it often, right? Given your path, given...
Yeah, well, not as much. I mean, yes, not like when I first started. But like to this day, I'll always just think like I get to do this because of him, and I'm so grateful.
WWE SmackDown every Friday night on Fox, and again, defending her title, WrestleMania 39, headlining. How many people will be there? There is no fear.
80,000.
There is
no big deal.
Yeah, but this isn't. Is this something that scares you anymore, or now you're just natural at it? No.
What scares me is a small crowd of 1,000.
Let me tell you
500
something.
people would scare me.
When you can see everyone's facial expression, that's the scary place.
Exactly.
It needs to be
like,
scene.
why are you looking at me looking under way? Yeah.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Do you imagine it's scarier being seen by 500 people performing or 80,000 people performing?
Oh, I know it is. I've done it before. I've actually wrestled in front of a crowd of 11 in Tampa. So, yeah.
So this is a very exciting day for me because finally we have someone who shares the passion of volleyball that I share. Okay. I love, I mean, you're a big time volleyball player, which I'm assuming you're a big time volleyball fan, as am I. And so I have my top 5 volleyball players of all time, and I would like to run that list past you.
But why are you doing this?
Well, because she's a big time volleyball player.
I would just say Gabrielle Reese takes my top spot.
Really? She's 3rd on my list. I mean, hold on.
Well, you got to wait. You can't. Well, listen, here's his list. He's going to name a bunch of names here that are his top 5.
Couple of volleyball fans cutting it up.
Go ahead. I did not know you were a volleyball fan.
Yeah.
Number 5.
Steve Timmons.
Number 4.
Karch Karai.
Wow.
Number 3.
Gabby Reese.
Number 2.
Kerry Walsh Jennings.
Number 1.
Misty May Trainer.
No Chase Buttinger?
How about that?
That's fair.
Thank you.
Fair?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Fair?
Yep. What are your top 5, Dan?
I don't. When did you become a
I don't even have
volleyball
a top 5.
The '84 Olympics. I mean.
Thank you, Charlotte. We appreciate your time.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.